everyone.
Hello, everybody.
It's your favorite coaches,
Howard.
and LaRonda Johnson.
It's his.
Plus hers
Equals
ours. Thanks again for joining us. Our new topic on today is...
Please, by all means, do not lose yourself in your marriage. The whole point about being married and being able to be with someone is about being able to keep your individuality also. So when it comes to being married, a lot of times we get lost in our everyday life. We get caught up in fulfilling the needs that we have to feel for our spouse and for our children and just our work and everything that we do, that a lot of times who we are gets lost. And sometimes we sit in thought, sometimes to ourselves, and think like, who am I? What am I here for? What is my purpose?
Yeah, and then when you're trying to find your purpose, sometimes it takes so long to find your purpose because you have just like forgot about everything, because all the roles, all the titles that you hold in a marriage, or maybe just the duties, you know, maybe you didn't talk about it ahead of time, like what the expectations was, like who was going to do what, who was going to do this. So then you get lost. Sometimes in your head, you're getting lost because then you're trying to figure out how to fulfill the shoes or the roles that has been set for you, or maybe the expectations, or maybe it's something that you want to strive to do. Like maybe you're not a cook, okay? I'm gonna tell you about being a cook. My husband is a cook by life, by skill, by trade, by blessing. Oh, I'm sorry, a chef.
Thank you.
But me, okay, no, not so much. God has blessed me to be able to cook.
Yeah, she can throw down.
Yeah, but not to be like a chef. So that's not one of my strong things. This is one of the things, you know, I appreciate God giving us the, you know, ability, the money and the funds and all that to be able to cook. But if I could find somebody to cook for me and to be a personal chef, I would definitely do that. So that is not one of my strong things. That's not something that I enjoy doing, but I get to do it and I do it. I love to have clean, dirty dishes. That means that everybody ate, right? So sometimes like different things you might strive to do. So if you don't know how to cook, so a lot of times what I do is I look up recipes. I ask my husband, like, babe, this is the only thing that we have in there. What can I make? I have nothing matches. And he come home and he just started throwing all this stuff together. I'm like, how did you come up with that? You know, so that may be something that you're striving to do, like an example of maybe a role or a skill that you want to learn in your marriage. So you don't necessarily have to lose yourself. It's just learning how to do what you need to do at the level, or like 100% or whatever that you want to do, like to do that.
No matter what you do, make sure that you keep in the forefront of your mind at all times who you actually are. And if it's not something that you really want to do, express that to your spouse. Let them know, because she tells me all the time, bruh, like, I'm not cooking. Like, it's not going down. But then sometimes I have requests. There are certain things that she cooks that I don't even mess with. One of them being chicken pot pie. Oh my God. It's amazing.
Well, man, let's talk about this chicken pot pie.
No. Let's not talk about that chicken pot pie.
We recently just had recently had somebody to tell me, like, you do casseroles. Like me, I would rather do a casserole so you can have, like, leftovers for the next day. Yeah. You know, I don't want to be hungry again. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got just one plate and then you hungry again. That's babe. That's him. Or you taking so long to prepare this awesome, beautiful, colorful meal, and it's like, man. Yes, I need an appetizer. No, we're going to just go ahead and throw something in the oven. You set it and forget it. That was that commercial, right? So you just put it in there. You just like put the timer on. You just do it. But I was told, like, who really just cook casseroles and stuff? That would be me. I would throw something in the crock pot. But babe, yeah, he would throw it down in a minute.
Yeah, I can make something out of nothing, like literally. And I'm talking about a gourmet meal. And our baby son here has picked up on this skill where he can take something that like the bare bones of the kitchen and turn it into a fantastic meal. But that's another thing. A lot of us have found our individuality as we were growing up. And I found the fact that I love to cook by growing up watching my parents cook. And then taking on that role myself when I started doing fine dining. I went to culinary school and worked in the industry for a long time. So, that's just part of who I am. That's part of my personality. And, it's something that I will never lose because she loves to eat good and my kids love to eat good. Like, honestly, my kids very rarely eat out at any kind of like fast food restaurant, except for my baby girl. She's a Chick-fil-A head. And she is just like her when it comes to cooking. I can do it, but I'm not about to go there because it's convenient. I understand to go get something that's already hot and ready to go.
I think it comes from the kids being older now. So now that we have young adults and then we have one school age kid, so now I have a choice. Okay, so when they were smaller, I really didn't have a choice. I had to cook, right? Because they couldn't cook for themselves. So it's like now that they are older, they're young adults, and even the ones that are still at home because of college or whatever, and it's like, you all can cook, or you have that choice to go out. But as my husband said, you don't have to lose yourself. That's a passion that he has, so he's not going to lose it. But if it's something that you want to gain in your marriage or in your relationship, or like whatever it may be, whether it's cleaning, you may not be a good housemaid or a good person to clean up, and it's like, well, you may take something off the couch and then put it somewhere else or put it on the shelf, and it's like, well, I cleaned that area up. That may not be cleaning up to your spouse or to your significant other, but that's where you at. So that's why you need to have conversations. As my husband said, find out what you are, what your passions are before you get married. Why are you entering the dating stage? Like before all of that, know who you are so you know what you come in with.
A lot of times, if you are not understanding who you are and what your passions and desires are, they get mixed up with your spouse's when you start to get into a very strong relationship or even into marriage, and it starts blending in, and you think and you take some of that on to yourself like it's part of what you really want. And sometimes it might not be. You might not find out till later on in life. And some things you're not going to find out until after you get married. It's just how it is. You won't always discover all of your passions before you get married. Hopefully you got most of them under wraps by this point, because you need to know what you want when you start to enter into a relationship. But whatever you do, make sure that you express who you are honestly to whoever you are in a relationship with, to your significant other, to your spouse, preferably before they become your spouse, and express who you are, your likes, your dislikes, what you're willing to compromise on, what you're not willing to compromise on. It makes it so much easier in the long run. And some things you won't literally find out until after you're already married, because it's a journey. It's something that you have never embarked upon before. And even if you have, it's different because it's with someone else. So, and this goes for people who have been divorced or get remarried. And, a lot of times I run into people who have remarried the person they divorced because they did not know who they were or what they wanted out of a relationship. And then when they got divorced, they found out that they were better together than being separated, and each one of them found their individuality through, the tests and trials of being married the first time, going through the divorce, and realizing that, hey, we can really make this work.
Yeah, and it's about exploring themselves. Like, and that's a lot of times what happens is sometimes you would be like, are they at the midlife crisis? Like, no, not necessarily. They just trying to explore. A lot of times you're trying to explore, like, do I want a motorcycle? Do I want this Corvette, this little sports car? You going out, you doing all these new things, and it's like, oh, either you being rebellious or like I said, that little midlife crisis situation. It's like, no, it's because you're trying to explore new things. You're trying to explore who you are at that moment. A lot of times, especially with us women, our body changes. So, our mindset is a little different. The chemicals in our body is just going like, we're trying to figure out what's going on. Menopause and all of that hit. You're trying to figure out life all over again, try to explore who you are, your likes and dislikes, what you can tolerate, what you won't tolerate, all those different things. So here comes this like new me. and trying to explore who you are. And so even as my husband said, some people divorce and get back together because during that little time, or however expanded time it is that you're apart, you start exploring, like, who am I? What do I want in life? You start learning how to do that self-care and self-love, right? And so you getting all of this and you're trying to figure out everything, and then now you're starting to talk again. You're like, oh my gosh, this is what I love to do. You know, this is what this is my passion. This is what I get to do for life. And then you come together, as my husband said, then you come together with a plan again. It's like, oh, it works. So this is why it's so important to figure out what you want in the beginning, have that conversation. Communication is awesome, and being honest of upfront what you want and what you expect. Because even when children come into the come into the marriage, come into the relationship, a lot of times as women, we pour ourselves into the kids. You know, we're doing homework. We take them back and forth. You know, we doing all these things, diaper changing, we nursing, we doing all these things for our children.
Not to say that we don't do it.
Right. But I think because of the nurturing part of it, as women, we just go straight in, like full speed, like boom. That, you know, that the nurturing, that mother part, of just instinct just come in immediately, and it's like, hey, I got this. I'm going in. Boom. And so we start taking on this role, and we just moving. But then not realizing, like, I'm not doing my hair no more. I'm not wearing makeup. If that's something that you used to do, I'm not getting my nails done. I'm not doing any of these things, because now you're starting to lose yourself a little bit. You're starting to like lose yourself in that role of being a mom and not necessarily taking care of yourself.
Hold on. Not just being a mom, but to us men, sometimes it's like, wait a minute, where my wife go? Who is this nanny over here that just takes care of the kids? Like, you know, and sometimes you, like, women tend to pour themselves, like you said, into the children, and it pulls away from the actual relationship that brought the children here. You know, so it's a very delicate balance. And so, like, on my wife's last pregnancy, I had to be like, look, I need to make sure that I'm taking on a lot more of this role as being a active father, you know, and making sure that I'm changing diapers, I'm fixing bottles, I'm doing laundry and doing this stuff that would give her some comfort and some leeway to be like, she knows that I got her back. Yeah. And that way she can start to find herself again, and not just, you know, just for my benefit, but for her benefit. Because the thing is what benefits her benefits me in the long run. So we are partners in this. And even though, like my wife was saying, later on in life, you tend to find new passions and new desires. Coaching for us is something that we have been doing for years and years and years, individually and together. But it's something that we never actually pursued until, you know, within the last couple of years of actually being a profitable business, or even looking at it in that way. But this is our newly found passion, something that we were already passionate about, that we had to come together and be like, hey, why don't we do this? Let's do this. This is who we have been for this ridiculous amount of time. We've been giving people advice over here and over there, and helping people in life. So why shouldn't we help as many people as possible? So that's an example of a newly found passion. Yeah. Now, I'm still waiting for the day that she finds the passion to cook like I do.
That's probably not going to happen.
But that would be her losing her. If my desire for her to do that, you know, and she took it upon herself to actually go that route, that would be her losing herself in my desire. And this is the thing that we don't want to have happen. Honestly, my main desire, and I was just joking about that, my main desire is to see this. The smile that she has on her face now. That is my heart's desire. That is what I live for her to smile, for my children to smile, especially my girls. Like, And I want my boys to smile too, but see, when it comes to the boys, we treat them a little differently because I get to rough them up a little bit. We get to wrestle around, do all this. But you want the women in your life to understand that you are the man that I need her to know that I want, and basically I want her to tell me that I am being the man that she needs me to be. I want my daughters to tell me that I want to marry someone like you because of the way that you have set the example in our lives. And, I haven't always been that way. And it's like, thank you, Lord, for allowing change in my life and for me being receptive to it. Mm-hmm. Because now, because the passion for me is to be the best husband, to be the best father, to be the best provider, to be the best man of God that I can be, and just be the best that I can be in general. Like, no matter where I go, I want people to say that is an awesome man, or he is a real, genuine person. He is authentic. He is honest. He will tell you the truth. He's not going to hold back. She ain't going to hold back either. That's one thing about us. We have always been strong-willed people and very adamant about being forward and forthcoming with the people who we talk to. Because if you have somebody that pity pats around with you and strokes your ego, you're not going to get anywhere.
But have empathy as well. So you got to have that balance and that passion. You got to be passionate about people's situations as well. So although we can be upfront and honest and straightforward, is that we always have to use wisdom too. Sometimes we got to just be like, can't say that right now. Maybe they're not ready to hear that. Or maybe I may say it the wrong way. It may come out the wrong way. So that all together, you just have to make sure, as my husband said, even when you're pushing, you not to push for your spouse or your significant other to have certain goals that you set for them or setting expectations, because then that leads resentment to creep in. Because as my husband said, when he was just joking about me learning how to cook, to be a chef, right? On a whole different level of just cooking, right? And if he pushed me to do that, I might have resentment against it because that is not something that I want to pursue, okay? I'm fine where I am in my lane. When they be like, stay in your lane, I sure am, because I've tried to get out that little lane, and I'm like, man, I'm off the road because I just messed that whole dish up, okay? It didn't matter what instructions, I followed every part of that recipe and it just failed. So no, not gonna do it again. Well, you know what? I might try it again, but I'm not gonna pursue being a chef.
Please don't.
Yeah, I won't. So losing yourself within your marriage should be a goal that you even set for yourself as an individual. I would not lose myself. Maybe that can be one of your words and affirmations. I would not lose myself in my marriage. I would not lose myself in my relationship. And that'd be something that you quote every day to remind you, especially when you're busy. And like we said, when you have children come into the mix of the relationship and in the marriage, is that you don't lose yourself to your kids. You still pursuing your passions and your goals as individuals. So you have to come up with a plan, a game plan. We got to get different people in with you. Maybe your mom, when we were younger, our kids were younger as well, is that my mom was our babysitter. So we paid her to watch the kids. So that was an awesome thing. So there was times where we had to bring her into our game plan as a family and this is what we're working on. This is what we need, so that she knows what we need to work on, so we won't lose ourselves, because we get busy. We forget about date night.
Yep. We
forget about treating ourselves. And we just lose everything. Now we got bitterness or resentment in the marriage. Now you just feeling grumpy all the time. You tired, you frustrated. You feel like knocking kids upside their head sometimes or whatever. You just setting them down hard because you're so frustrated. You don't know how to cope at certain times. Or you just sitting there and just wondering why am I sad? why am I just sitting here? Like, sometimes you may just be crying because you have lost yourself within your marriage, or even men. My husband, I can't necessarily speak for men, but I know just conversation my husband have had. He's like, what about me? And I'm like, what do you mean? What you mean? What about me? He was like, we ain't spent no time together. You spent more time with the kids this week than you spent with me. And I'm like, oh, like, I'm counting like, so yeah, you're right.
She used to volunteer every day of the week, with the exception of Saturday and Sunday. And there was a lot, it wasn't just our kids. And I had an understanding that she was giving back to the community.
Which is a passion of mine.
Which is a huge passion of hers. And giving back is, it's a beautiful thing. I even volunteered. So, a lot of times your passion should be, I won't say exactly shared by your spouse, but definitely supported. So I wanted to find out what it was about this,
this place
that it was, that she kept going to every single day, and putting in a lot of work. And it's just crazy the impact that she has made in a lot of kids' lives, and the impact that even just the time that I spent has been made in kids' lives. And it's like, wow, like I never thought that just this little bit of time each day could add up to such a big thing in somebody's life. And really, it was a mentorship that I had undertook at one of the churches that we went to, and we had a group of young men. Some of them were troubled young men, and some of them were just trying to find themselves. That gave me a bigger purpose. It gave me a broader view of what I should be doing. So with that said, please, like, explore your own mind, explore the options that you have as far as like who you are, what you like, the things that you would love to do in life. And write them down, read them, repeat them to yourself, mark off the ones that you have already accomplished or the ones that you don't care as much of accomplishing, and make sure that you focus on one thing that would allow you to find out who you really are.
Yeah.
After this message, we'll be right back.
Yes, thank you.
Life does not begin with all the answers, but it does give us hints and clues along the way. We learn what is important, what is most valuable, and how to protect it becomes a lesson we won't forget. And sometimes all you need to do to pass the test is to be asked the right questions.
Thank you and welcome back.
Hello again.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us. The first part of what we talked about is don't lose yourself in your marriage. That's the topic for today. And just in summary, just giving you a review and just a overview of everything is that in your marriage, you want to make sure you find balance. With balance, as my husband gave the example of, like, one of my passions is volunteering, right? Volunteering in the community, giving back. And so I volunteered so much to where my husband had to say, hey, like, I support you going and volunteering and doing what you love to do. But I need a little bit of your time. You're spending too much time here and spending too much time with the kids. I need some of your time too. But then he got curious, so he had to come and check it out as well. But then I had to learn that I had to balance it out. So make sure you do have that balance in your relationship or within your marriage, so that you won't have, conflict or things that can become like a big issue.
Yeah, she said balance it out, but she actually had to pencil me in.
That's fine, that balance, because I'm busy schedule. You got kids that you just take them to sports, you take them here and there, doctor's offices, because we have a son with special needs, so he was always in and out. So that situation where we had to schedule dates. We had to schedule time together. So that's balance. You set balance.
Don't get offended if your wife or your husband has to pencil you in. Just don't do it, because really, honestly, it helps to be organized, even in intimacy. Intimacy being spending time together, looking each other in the face, telling each other like, man, you are so gorgeous, or you are so handsome, or you just brighten my day. Everything about you I love. And I'm actually saying this to her for real right now. But, it's a beautiful thing when you can be organized in your life, because it helps cut down on confusion. And it also gives you the sense of accomplishment when you can check things off of your list. And you should have a daily list, a weekly, monthly, so on and so forth, because it gives your purpose I don't want to say an end date, but it gives your purpose a maturity date. It allows you to see that you are making steps in the right direction. Slow progress is still progress. Never forget that. Slow progress is still progress. And sometimes in our marriage, we've had slow progress. And it's like, sometimes, we were so lost in just our daily routine and the things that was going on that there was no individuality. That it just melted together like a candy bar in the sun. For real. Yeah. And then once we started realizing that, okay, if we prioritize things a little differently, you can be you, I can be me, and we can be exactly who we need to be for each other.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. And it's not just your marriage or your relationship that is affected. It's also your work relationships, your friends, just acquaintances and people that you run into. Like when you do networking, if you go to networking events, you have to make sure that you know who you are, because a lot of people know exactly who they are. They know exactly what they want. And these are the type of people that you will run into at a networking event. So being purposeful, being productive, and being, open-minded also to learning new things.
So you got balance, you got organization. You want to know up front who you are, like before you enter into your relationship or into your marriage. Find out who you are as an individual. Find out your do's and don'ts. Find out what you want to compromise on, what you compromise on, not compromise on. So you want to know all those things up front before getting into that. Don't push your spouse or your significant other to a goal or to an expectations or something that you want them to be. You cannot change a person. You cannot change a person whatsoever. Otherwise, you have resentment built up against either the person or the situation. Because my husband could have easily done that to me with my cooking. I told you about the cooking. I do not cook. So he realized that was a conversation we've had since day one, like since dating, So we've had that conversation before. So don't change me after we get married, because that's not going to happen.
But she had cooked early on in our marriage, and I was like, okay, shoot, that's what's up. Like, I don't have to do all the cooking. And then there's been times where she's like, you the chef? I was like, okay, wait a minute, hold on. Like, I cook all day at work, and I come home, I ain't necessarily trying to cook, but you the chef? So, and that's not to say that she won't do it. Like the whole thing about it is at that moment, like she was talking about, pouring herself into the kids, pouring herself back into the community. It's just, she's extremely busy, I'm busy, so we have to compromise on who's going to do what. So, sometimes we tell the kids it's a fend for yourself kind of day. So, fend for yourself usually ends up in ramen noodles and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Or just spaghetti or something like that. But that's because they're older. When they're younger, you do have to cater to them 100%, because they can't cook for themselves, they can't do for themselves. So just making sure you don't push your partner to try to be something that you are, or something that you have a passion for, because will push resentment. It will just creep on in. like I say, either resentment for the person, for your spouse, or just resentment for whatever that passion is, whatever that thing is.
And you can't take your passion or something that you want to be, that you are not yet, and try to have your spouse or your partner do that for you or be that for you. If it's something that you have in mind for yourself, work towards that goal, but never ever lose your individuality. There's stuff that you're going to have as far as like from growing up, like we said in the beginning. There's stuff that you're going to have from growing up that is going to be part of your personality, part of who you are. But also, like my wife had said earlier on, when you get older, you start to develop new passions and new interests and things that you want to do with life. So when it comes to that, I have supported my wife when she wanted to go to school and, other things that she wanted to do. She supported me when I wanted to go to school and the things that I was doing with my life at that point in time. And it works out well when you have communication, you have understanding, honesty, you know what I'm saying, and being able to express yourself openly and for it to be reciprocated and accepted by your spouse or your significant other.
Yeah, and so another thing that we mentioned early on as well is that as you get older, sometimes you change, you have like that midlife crisis going on, as they say, and you start feeling like you shifting a little bit, shifting towards something else, like, I really don't want to be doing this no more. Maybe I should explore this. Maybe I should try this. And it's okay, but communicate that with your spouse or your significant other so they won't just be looking like you just going on this tangent.
You quit your job for what?
Right. Or this midlife crisis going on. You done bought a motorcycle. You got this sports car. You got all this stuff going on.
I might buy the motorcycle.
But you got all this stuff going on. And it's like, what the heck is going on? I got a whole new person. I got this going on. I got whatever. And it's like, no. Like, this is something I've been thinking about doing. It's like, oh, well, I never knew that. But when you just communicate, as soon as you start feeling that, like, I want to do something else, as my husband said, maybe you want to switch careers or maybe quit your job and pursue something else, maybe building your own business, something that's probably was a goal for you at some point. Is that communicate that with your spouse or your significant other so that they won't be just thinking like you're freaking out or you just tripping. That way you can make sure everything is in order. What we say is about that balance. Mm-hmm. Then you won't have resentment towards that new goal or their new passion that they're doing. Then your household is organized. You organize as a household and as an individual.
So do not blindside your spouse and significant other with just some random, hey, I quit. What? You did what? I've done that. Just to say, like, she was like, what? You did what? And the very next day I was out looking for jobs like crazy, but I was a lot younger. I was a lot not there. So a lot more irresponsible at that time. But, it's a beautiful thing to be able to have and be an individual. And for my wife, I love her individuality. You should embrace your spouse's individuality. You should celebrate them, and they hopefully in return will celebrate yours like we do. It's amazing. Like, I would rather not work with anybody but my wife all day, every day. And I love the fact that we get to do life together, not just life, but business and everything else. So please make sure that you are taking, as my wife, that's true to me, is huge on self-care. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the things that I hear her say all the time. And I love it because self-care, how can you care for anyone else if you don't care for yourself? So it's just like her self-care, her saying self-care is like me saying keep it real with yourself before you can keep it real with anybody else. It's things that go together like peanut butter and jelly. In order to be able to make sure that life tastes good, you got to put the right mix together. So with that said, we love y'all. We thank you and appreciate you for tuning in. And always make sure that you keep your individuality even in the midst of your relationship.
Yes. There was something that you found in your spouse or your significant other that just attracted you. They was an individual at that moment. So something attracted you to them to say, hey, what's going on, boo? What's going on? Can we do this? Can I call you? You know, or you slide into their DM, okay? And then now y'all blossoming as a couple. But there was something about them as an individual. So don't change them. There may be some things that as an individual you might need to like tweak a little bit, you know, enhance. But don't just change them completely or feel like they're not at the level that you're at or what you expect for them to do. So don't change them. Please do not lose yourself in your marriage. And we love you all and thank you for watching.
Don't forget to tune in next week.
Yes.